Hey viewers and subscribers, and for those who are watching any of my video content for the first time, welcome to Aspie with Attitude. My name is David, I am from Melbourne, Australia. I have autism, a speech difficulty which is speech impairment, I have Asperger's syndrome, and that's why I call myself an Aspie. Now I'm going to stop this right now, and I won't mind standing up to knee myself up. Yeah, since I've actually got this all happening now, so I couldn't be bothered make my own tracksuits like I said in the beginning of this year, so instead just order a fresh one. And now, before I commence the actual video content, I had previously, way back on the 3rd of February 2019, for episode 41, I did talk about whether if autism or Asperger's syndrome is the next step into natural human evolution without being manipulated through genetic engineering. As it happens, if you've heard this theory of human evolution from anywhere, like especially from Professor Tony Attwood, well, at this time, this video content that you're watching right now, this was published on the July 2021, and this video content is all based on my own personal theory and my own personal speculation about human evolution. So far, this hasn't been dismissed or disputed, just like how research had been conducted on treating autism, since I am totally against finding any cures for autism. Instead, it's possible that I could approve this theory that autism and Asperger's syndrome is maybe the next step into natural human evolution without being manipulated for any forms of genetic engineering. I must yet again, as a disclaimer, this theory of evolution could easily be dismissed by autistic rights activist groups and neurodiversity groups, like it has always been for any organisation such as Autism Speaks to find treatment or cure for autism. And don't you worry, that's why Autism Speaks gets no support from Aspie with Attitude. Now, my suggestion is, autism has been around for the last 5-6 million years, and the most popular saying is that we're talking about a dwarf planet in our solar system called Pluto. The king of the Kuiper Belt was discovered in 1930 because it's always been there for now last 4 billion years, and autism wasn't discovered back in 1930, the same year when this dwarf planet Pluto was discovered. And now we can actually go back maybe 5-6 million years, or even 4 to 5 million years ago in the dawn of mankind, and understand how neurotypical driven society had become to be as of today. Those early humans never made tools and never wore clothes and not yet knew how to light fires, and this is going back 4 or 5 million years ago when a majority of early humans were non-verbal, including the neurotypicals, allowing those early humans not to be the apex predators that we are today as Homo sapiens. Well, instead, they were more vulnerable and they were easy targets and easy prey for prehistoric carnivores like saber-toothed cats and any prehistoric hyenas, for example. So like, autism did actually exist back then, except those early humans haven't discovered tool making, allowing them to build any weapons to fight back against those hungry saber-toothed cats who fed on those early humans. You know what? Those early humans were just getting started. First, they just needed to learn how to actually walk upright, just like all Homo sapiens species we have today. And they needed to discover how to articulate several sounds, allowing them to become more verbal, allowing them to voice out their thoughts, just the same way I am voicing out my own thoughts. The early humans were the favourite meal for saber-toothed cats, since that cannibals would understand the taste of all human beings. The only way for those early humans could do to survive is grouping up together in clans, maybe in a group of 12 to 15 people at a time, and maybe at most 25 people, all grouped up and round up into these big clans, and grouping up with their own clans could also be the birth of new typical driven society, since they knew that they needed to socialise and be together in order to survive this hostile environment, especially when those early humans didn't even know how to fight off these carnivores. It was such a very dangerous environment, especially being stalked by these saber-toothed cats. And in order to survive, none of those early humans could ever go wandering off, as I have explained back in episode 60 when I did talk about elopement, since that there have been some early human individuals who could have been on autism spectrum, could have gone wandering off somewhere, making themselves more vulnerable to actually being eaten alive by these predators and all these carnivores. And we're talking about like saber-toothed cats or prehistoric hyenas. And even in the 21st century as of today, it is still common for individuals who are autistic to go wandering off into absolute danger, as I've already explained back in episode 60. And I even recently discussed in episode 170 back in April 2021 that any forms of sensory challenges that may cause those autistic early humans to become separated from their clans. It could be a fact that they need to walk across sunlight, and maybe that autistic individual gets overwhelmed by the sun and want to stay in the shade, and they get left behind in the shade, and they can become easy prey to these predators, like I'm talking about maybe leopards or any prehistoric cats that might actually eat them, since that individual is alone. Anyway, so like we don't have any definite answers on how those early humans really lived 4 or 5 million years ago, but can always look into archaeological digs of any human remains from that time, considering that it is impossible for us to tell the difference between a neurotypical individual and an autistic individual, since there is no hard proof in it. Like, if they couldn't light a fire or make tools, they would never been able to diagnose autism back then. And those are just my ideas, theories and speculations, avoiding ideas that autism didn't magically spring up in the dawn of civilization and agriculture. And I'm talking about going from 10,000 years ago, or maybe as early as 12,000 years ago. And perhaps, maybe lighting fires with the use of friction could have started 1 or 2 million years ago from autistic early human through stimming. So like, just imagine if a stim toy was that picked up a stick, just been rubbing on the log, rub, 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 kaboom! There's actually fire. So like, if an early human was that autistic and actually started a fire, so like, that's actually a fire starter, which actually became very important for humans to learn how to light fires. So like, this is pretty much as I've discussed back in episode 37, which was uploaded on 9th of January 2019, Autism and Stimming. So we're talking about like stim toys from 1 to 2 million years ago, like rubbing sticks together and rubbing stones together, maybe coming up with ideas for tools like making sharp sticks and sharp stones. And maybe the use of sharp sticks could easily, you hold up to a predator that's ambushing. Imagine a pointy end of a stick getting to its windpipe, and it happens that this early human just killed that saber-toothed cat. So that's just a win for an early human in order to survive. So like, I'm talking about an autistic early human could have accidentally invented those sort of things to get to where we are now. So like, don't forget, those early humans were very non-verbal, I'm talking about the neurotypicals as well. That's about 4 or 5 million years ago. Around about that time, 1 to 2 million years ago, those early humans were starting to articulate a few sounds. They've already learned how to walk upright. And so like, I'm going to leave this up to you to decide whether if you wish to approve or dismiss how autism was around before the Ice Age had ever began. Because not many people are interested in looking far back into the prehistoric times before the Ice Age. So like, however it is, this might give us a good idea that why we have neurotypical driven society. This might have been all about survival, how I talked about how the early humans had to be in their clans for safety, since it was a very dangerous, hostile environment, since we human beings were once prey to these prehistoric cats. And they were also once non-verbal, so they had to rely on their instincts just to know when to run away from danger once they're being ambushed by these prehistoric cats. And that's to save themselves from being eaten alive by these prehistoric lions, like the saber-toothed cats for instance. And staying close to their clans and conforming was the only way that non-verbal early humans were to survive this hostile environment from all dangerous predators before they discovered the use of spoken words, tools, weapons, and the use of lighting fires. Now that we had found civilization, we had for many thousands of years confined ourselves into large cities, and this had allowed us to discover what autism is. And now this is the 21st century, in the 2020s. Now we have social media. We hear the voice of a real autistic actually coming up with these theories about autism. And I can understand how Elon Musk, an autistic billionaire eccentric, is building the Starlink constellation satellites up in the air, which is actually going to connect the globe for better communications. And on top of it, there's an interplanetary starships to send people to different planets, and like the moon, you've got Mars and Venus, and possibly all the moons around Jupiter and Saturn. So like, Elon Musk is autistic and he has Asperger's syndrome, and so far he's actually been making these spaceships that will get us there maybe in a few years time and beyond. So anyway, like, my voice is getting a bit husky since it's actually very interesting for me to talk about all this. So like, I wouldn't mind actually doing a part 2. So like, that's why I made this one part 1. So like, please don't forget to subscribe to Aspie with Attitude. And also, you can ring your notification bell to keep up to date with Aspie with Attitude if you're interested in these kind of discussions. And also, if you prove this idea about human evolution, you can always like and share this video content. And also, you can always leave a comment down below to let me know if you'd like to approve or disapprove this whole theory of human evolution, especially about autism being the next step into natural human evolution without being manipulated through any forms of genetic engineering. So anyway, like, my voice is just getting a bit husky there. So like, that's the way I always pull this one off, with a fidget spin nose trick. And here we go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Aspie with Attitude. Peace and respect, and see you next time.